Hello viewer, welcome to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we are talking about thorns in the bed of roses. Is your bed a bed of roses? Do you have thorns in it? Well, we know thorns is a good characteristics of roses whereby you can't have a rose without the thorns. So today we are going to see about it when you're talking about bed of roses. Send in your question, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. I'm not alone. I have a guest with me who is Mr. James, who is going to help us to understand better how to deal with the thorns in the bed of roses, and I will allow him to introduce himself. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, and Happy New Year to our viewers. I've not had the chance to interact with them this year, so I take it as a pleasure to be here once again and to do the show with you once again on Chungu cha Jamii. My name is James Kituzi. I'm a life coach, a personal and corporate development consultant. Yes.
Welcome to the show, Mr. James.
Thank you.
To start with, as our topic is saying, thorns in the bed of roses. What do you understand, or what do you perceive of that when you're talking about thorns in the bed of roses?
Actually, that's a very interesting topic, and I must give kudos to whoever chose that topic,
Sure.
the phrasing especially, because life is a beautiful thing, and love is a beautiful thing. Just like roses, they're beautiful, we love them, and especially women lie to receive them.
Nowadays you have money bouquet, so I prefer
Money
money
bouquet.
than
Money
the
bouquet all the
roses.
way. But roses are beautiful, and so the analogy of thorns and the rose is a very beautiful analogy, because like you rightfully said in the introduction of the show, you can't have a beautiful thing without some dark side to it. So there's a dark side to every beautiful thing we see, including the roses that we have. And somebody once said that life is not a bed of roses, but it is actually a bed of roses, where you have all the beautiful things, and all these beautiful things come with a side effect or have a dark side to it or have some side to it that we would not like and appreciate. And so is life, especially life with another person, human relationships. Human relationships are beautiful because we're looking at people who are different. We are all different, have different backgrounds, different perceptions about life. We have different perceptions about what is right and what is wrong. And then you're bringing all these two people together, whether in a marriage situation, in a dating situation, or even at the workplace. And so all these people are coming together as a beautiful bed of roses. They're beautiful because in the diversity of their differences lies the beauty of life. But at the same time, that difference, that diversity sometimes becomes the thorn in the flesh, so to speak. The thorn that actually might make these relationships very toxic, very destructive, and very harmful. So I'm glad that we are trying to figure out what are these thorns in the flesh in terms of relationships. What are these thorns on this beautiful bed of roses? Yeah.
Thank you so much. So when you're talking about all this, why do you think a lot of people ignore the thorns as they are chasing the roses?
Good question. Ignoring the thorns as we chase the roses. Let us first of all understand that in human interactions, whether it's a man trying to court a girl to date them, whether it's someone looking for employment and trying to go for an interview and impress the interviewers, whatever human interactions we have, people have the tendency to put their best foot forward. So in other words, people will rarely let out their negative side show. So everybody is at their best behavior at the beginning of every human interaction. People are courteous, people are polite, people are gracious, they are forgiving, people speak well, they avoid vulgarity. So in every human interaction, people will bring out the roses first. But just like a rose, before a rose actually grows, in the budding stages, all you feel and see is just some beautiful scent and not really the thorns. It's only when it matures that's when you see the thorns coming out, and now you have to deal not just with the beautiful petals but also the thorns that come with it. So similarly, in every human relationship, things will start out very positive and very rosy. At the beginning, people are on their best behavior. People are keeping time. People are forgiving one another. People are accommodative of one another. And basically, they're in their A game. But as time grows, these people become familiar with each other. So familiarity in the end breeds contempt. And when contempt sets in, now people are no longer afraid to reveal who they are, say what they don't like or what they like. At the beginning, even in the dating phase, people will always almost like everything. Like your favorite color, they like your hair, they like the hair, the color of your eyes, they like everything. But then as time goes and familiarity sets in, people stop hiding and people have to reveal themselves because you can only act for so long. So with time, you really have to be who you are and have to set boundaries and start saying, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. And whatever you are hiding, you have to reveal to the other partner so that the other partner knows what they're dealing with. And also you want the other person to answer the hard questions. As you continue dating and as you continue interacting, you want them now to answer the hard questions. And those hard questions are what reveals their true personality, their true nature. So it's not that most people ignore. Most people can actually see red flags when they see them. But because they are in love, quote unquote, and they say love is blind, but marriage is the eye opener. So once they get into marriage, they start seeing things they didn't like. Or now they are honest enough to say, I don't like this about you.
But it's too late. Why wait until marriage for the eye opener instead of being straight from the word go?
And that's now the disclaimer I must put, that people really have to not just put their A game when they're dating, but also bring their real selves to the table from the set go. Like from the get go, let the other person know what you are in for, what you are about, and what you are looking for. So that if the other person knows I don't fit that description that you have, because especially women come into a relationship with their fairy tale man in mind. So this fairy tale man is loving, is caring, is forgiving, he opens doors for you, he knows how to cook, he can help you take care of the baby. So there's this fairy tale man that every lady has as they're growing up. Those men
exist.
Those men do exist, mostly in movies and soap operas.
No, even in real life.
And in real life, when you get one, that's a gem that you need to keep and not take for granted. All right? Because people are different. And these differences are not of their own making sometimes. For example, if you find a man who has grown up with a father figure and has grown up in a well-balanced home, that man has some aspects of him that come naturally to him because he's been, so to speak, trained to become what needs to be. He has seen a good father taking care of his mother. He has seen a father being responsible and taking care of bills and taking care of everything. He has seen a father who is protective, a father who's present. So it's easier for this man to have the idea of what a father or a man needs to be than for a man who has grown up with no such figure in his life. And so he's learning all this from just observing the environment and hearing from stories in school. Oh, my dad did this, my dad did this. So as the other boys are sharing, he's just picking one or two things, and it's not the same as actually living it in the house. So he learns from observing the environment as it grows. So he'll grow with aspects that are, so to speak, feminine. But the girl he's going to meet is a girl who has been prepared and set for life. And let me tell you why girls are more or better placed in relationships and to handle relationships than men. Girls are forced to grow up faster than men. A boy who is, let's say, 9, 10 years old, he's still playing around, chasing after grasshoppers, competing with fellow boys who can pee faster or further than the other. Okay, those are the things they are doing. A girl at the same age is realizing that she's changing physically. She's realizing, oh, I'm having my menses. So she starts getting groomed to become a woman and to grow up. She's told, now you see you're a grown woman, you're growing up, you can actually make a baby. All right? So she's prepared to be a woman from the get-go by nature. As she grows and those physical changes come, she's forced to even watch how she dresses. All right? You're told you can't dress like that as a girl. Now you see your boobs are coming out, you have to groom yourself well, take good care of yourself, cover up. Don't sit like that, you're a girl. So girls are groomed by nature, naturally. It's easier for them to grow up and mature than boys. Because boys at that age, they're just all over the place. So by the time the guy is 25 years old, meeting maybe a 24-year-old girl, this 24-year-old girl is more mature than him. So girls have the advantage that life prepares them to woman up, for lack of a better word, faster than the boy child. The boy child will grow, by the time he's thinking of being a man, there's a lot he needs to do. There's a lot of ground he needs to cover to match up to his female counterparts. You come at the workplace, you'll find ladies are more progressive. Ladies have done their masters by 27 because life has forced them to grow up, to mature. You go to campus, you find that men, it's male dominated, the course you're picking is male dominated, so you are forced to work twice as hard as the men in that class to beat them. You beat them, you go for an interview, a job interview, again there's affirmative action for the girl child, all right? So a girl will progress faster in terms of maturity, in terms of just growing up as opposed to the man. So by the time they are meeting, these two people are two different people, two different worlds coming together. And so their chances are that the man has a lot of growing up to do compared to the girl. And the man has to grow eventually.
Yeah, me too. That is how you've used a polite word of saying men are not grown-ups.
It's a polite way of saying that women should be patient with the men.
Hey, that is where we draw the line.
You see, the problem is when now the woman comes up with a grown man in her mind. That's what I was referring to. Because the fairy tale man is a very mature man. He's a man who knows, I need to take care of my woman.
Look at this from this perspective. Allow me to interrupt you. You said, I'm trying to now think, you know, from where I'm seated, a man should be a go-getter, right?
Sure.
Being a go-getter, a man should be responsible, should be providing, should be protecting. Those are some of the things you ought to be taught or learn. If you're not taught, you learn by yourself.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it, I'm borrowing it from a case scenario of, I'm taking too much alcohol and then I call myself to a meeting and realize this alcohol is not helping me. So instead of continuing, I decide to stop. Why? It's not helping me. So in this case, I'm trying to also to what you're talking about. You said that this is much easier for a man who has grown up with a man figure. What happens if I don't have a man figure per se as a dad to be there full time? Might have passed on, might have divorced, might have, you know? And then you growing up as a son, me as a mother who is bringing up, now there is that tendency of a man should be like this. I may not bring it out well as the man would have per se, but there is also the perspective of how this young man will perceive and say, I would want to treat, you know, it also comes with the desire. That is what I can say. Yeah. For you to desire to, I'd want to be this kind of a husband. I'd want to be this kind of a man. I would want to be. So that is how you get to train yourself to be there. Don't sit back and say, since because I didn't have a father, then I won't be. What does that say?
All right. I hear your point, and your point is very clear. That's why I was saying, for men, I don't know how to put this very simply. For men, masculinity is not natural. It is acquired. That's why you are saying that for a man, he can observe and then desire because he has observed whether in movies, whether in other male figures, in his peers. He has seen what a good man does, and he desires to be like so. And therefore, it brings to mind the idea of intentionality. He has to be intentional to be masculine. It doesn't come naturally. So the discrepancy I was drawing was this. For a woman and a girl, femininity is natural. She's just forced to be feminine and to mature as a female. For a man, he has to learn, desire, acquire the skills to be a man. He doesn't just become a man simply because he was born male. That's what I'm trying to say. So we have so many male figures that still have yet to learn to become men. And that's why you'll hear most women complain, this man is not man enough. So because there's something like man enough in the mind of a woman. And that's what I was talking about. Man enough. There's something they're seeing and saying, there's something just about him. Yes, he's good. He knows how to dress. He knows, but ni mtoto. Like, he's not mature. Because for a man to mature, he has to be intentional.
Hold on. How now do you separate or rather bring it to par for our viewer? What is the difference between the man enough, a man, and a boy?
Unataka nipigwe mawe hapa.
No. I just want you to help us to understand it because, again, when you come to the dating space, you'll hear ladies or other men saying, you're not dating a man enough. You're not dating a real man. You're dating a boy. And then you'll hear when someone is like approaching you, you'll say, I'm a man. I'm not a boy. I'm a man enough. Until you interact with them and you realize you're bluffing.
Yeah. The difference is as clear as day and night. Because for a man, there are several things that make a man. Number one, you've already talked about what really is the role of a man. So number one, a man understands the role of a man. And he's clear in his mind on what his role and purpose is.
Can you state those roles? Some, at least 5. Wasikie. Was a provider, protector.
Yes. I think our viewers know all these things.
No, don't assume. Okay. They don't.
You've said a man must be a provider. So provision comes not just as a requirement, but as a responsibility that is ordained by God, that a man shall provide, all right? But even as we talk about these roles, I want to draw a parallel on some rare occasions where sometimes we might misjudge a man for a boy. For example, if we say a man is a provider, and then you find a man who provides. He provides, he goes out of his way to find bread and butter for his family and take care of you and just nourish you and the children. But then something happens to him. For example, he loses his job for one reason or another, and then he's not able to do that. Or better still, he marries a woman who earns more than him, because it happens. So it doesn't demean him as a provider. There are things the woman might want and desire to have that the man cannot afford, yet he is willing to do it. If he had the means to do it, he would do it. But because he has this shortcoming where maybe it doesn't earn enough, doesn't make that much, but he goes out of way, sweats to provide. But then the woman earns more. Does it then mean that the woman is married to a boy because the boy, quote unquote, can't provide what she wants? So again, provision is a matter of effort, not really how much. And that's what I want people to get that clear. It's not how much he brings to the table, it's does he go out of way to bring something? Because again, marrying a lazy man, now that's a boy. Some of the shows here, we've talked about the guy who's at home playing PS and telling you, wife imekatika babe, kwani hukulipa? And you're wondering, hey, you're the man. Unafanya nini kwa nyumba saizi? All right? So that's a boy. But a man will say, I've lost my job, but I'm working towards something, I'm working on something, and I'll be able to get us back on our feet. So that's a man. So he provides, he protects. But even as he protects, he understands his limitations. Because protection doesn't mean controlling. because a boy will control you in the name of protecting you. Where are you? What are you doing? Na nani nimepigia simu, nani anacheka huko nyuma yako? I've heard the voice of a man in the background and you're wondering, I'm at the office, for heaven's sake. I work with men. All right? So it's obvious you'll hear some men talking in the background. But now the boy will feel insecure in his masculinity. But the man doesn't feel insecure around other men. He's very comfortable around other men. And he's very comfortable knowing that if I'm picking you, if I'm taking you, and I'm taking you out of this competitive world because there are other men who want you and desire you. So if I can take you and I'm confident enough that you're mine, I don't need to police you around. So a boy will police you around, a man will protect you. And there's a difference. So as you talk about provision, protection, priests, a man is prayerful. A man understands divinity, understands godliness, whatever his religion is. Every man must be answerable and accountable to a higher power than him. If a man is God by himself and to himself, that's a dangerous man. And that's a boy also. Because men understand accountability, men understand authority and respect authority. So if your man doesn't understand that he needs an accountable person to watch over him, whether a human being, a fellow man who is mentoring him into manhood, because like I've said, men don't just become men. Men are shaped by men to become men, all right? And a woman, no matter how wonderful and amazing mother she can be, a woman can't train a boy to become a man. It's only a man who can do that. And that's why we have all these mentorship programs, for which I'm part of, where we just try to help the boy child become a man, whatever his background. He doesn't need to have a father figure. Men can shape other men to become men. Iron sharpens iron. All right?
Let us take a break, viewer. I hope you're learning as much as I am that iron sharpens iron. Send in your question, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
Fun. And the hyenas were there. They wanted to snatch the baby and tear that baby into pieces and eat.
Today, we're going to make a cactus in a pot. Hey, you, coat on. Are you biting your thumb at me?
I love my mommy. I love my mommy. Yes, I do.
Are you going to show love to your friend? I'm sure you are going to do that.
Friends, until next time, bye!
Leo tutakuwa tunaangazia masuala mengi kuhusu uongozi na maendeleo, na pia tutakuwa tunaangalia uongozi wa kuigwa na vijana. Kuna idara za serikali, kuna tume ya EACC, kuna idara za mahakama na kuna parliament, lakini tumeshindwa kutekeleza chapter 6 of Kenyan Constitution to the point that ya kwamba watoto wachanga ndio wanatuonyesha jinsi ya ndio wanatuweka katika mistari sabamba ya kuratibisha kifungu cha 6 cha katiba ya Kenya.
When we try tukijaribu sana kuangalia mambo politically na tuangalie vizuri pande hii nyingine ya kijamii, nafikiri hapa kuna kuwa na mwanya katikati, na hiyo mwanya ndiyo ambayo sasa imekuja kujazwa na hii generation.
What has it this far that now they are saying enough is enough?
Wakati Daktari William Samoei Ruto alichukua hatamu za uongozi, mnakumbuka ya kwamba the opposition walianza zile demonstrations zao za kusema the cost of living imeenda juu sana. Ijaribu kushukishwa kidogo, ili watu wakuwe na muamana katika nchi. na hiyo pia iliathiri serikali yake pakubwa.
Sababu ya watu kwenda kwa maandamano ilikuwa kutoridhika na mambo yanavyofanywa. Wakati finance bill ilipitishwa na wakati tunaangalia sababu ya zenyewe kupitishwa, tunaona si sababu za kusaidia vijana.
What happened after the Kenya Kwanza imereduce still? Wanamwandamania.
So ile ambayo wananchi wa Kenya wanakasirika ni kwa sababu we are expecting leaders, and especially led by the president, to be giving us policies that can give effect to Article 43 of the Kenyan Constitution.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about thorns in the bed of roses. We have Mr. James, who is helping us to understand better about how to deal with the thorns on the bed of roses. Before we went on a break, you said that some things, it's only a man can help a boy to be a man.
Yeah.
So iron sharpens iron.
Sure.
You said you're part of that, of sharpening boys to be men.
Yes.
And we also have such movements a lot in the country that are going around. And you also said that a man who sees himself as God and perceives himself to be one and doesn't submit to authority or superiority is also a boy. Now, let us go back to that submitting and to the superiority in regards to you have a mentor or you have someone who calls you to order.
Yes.
How now do you draw the line of understanding, yes, this person, I respect this person calls me to order, so that you're also able, by the end of the day, to be able to also make your decision as a man of the house? Because I don't expect, per se, expect my man to be open with me and tell me everything. But again, I also don't expect my man to be like so blunt in the sense of, if you're being called to order and some things are not going straight because of one reason or the other, then it's like that person who is calling you to order is the one who is like ruling our family in the sense of you're not thinking for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're just being puppeted. So for me, that one is it's okay, you can be puppeted to a certain level. Not even, it's not puppeted, you are guided. Yes, that is the correct one. You're guided. You seek the guidance, you know this is what is going to work for us, and you're also able to like make, because guidance comes also, you can be guided and also make the decision of knowing, now this one is going to help my family.
Sure.
And whatever is not going to help, you're not going to carry it. Because I also understand that the manual that works in your family may not work in my family.
Sure.
So now, how do you now draw that line as a man, so that by the end of the day, we don't again start getting into conflicts as husband and wife simply because of a third person?
Sure. That's a very good question. See, we are saying that one of the thorns that can ruin a relationship is lack of accountability. And this lack of accountability, if not checked, then becomes the thorn in the flesh that will actually affect that relationship negatively. The woman in the relationship has to be accountable to someone. The man in that relationship has to be accountable to someone, and by extension, to God. So what I mean is this. In the choice of who this other person is, who this mentor is, who this accountability partner is, it is important now to pick someone, number one, whose values agree with your values. So you share the same values. You share the same, probably, faith. You share the same, number two, he has a better understanding of your situation and your life and your status, because probably he's been there. So it should be somebody who is more experienced than you. So if you're looking for someone to guide you, to walk you through the marriage phase, and you're a young couple, look for a couple that has been married for some time. You don't look for your peers, your buddies, and then you say these are our accountability partners. Your best friend cannot be your... some best friends are really good friends in the sense of the word, but sometimes best friends have vested interest in your relationship. And that's why you're talking about somebody interfering with your relationship, because they know you and they are familiar to you and you're familiar with each other. There's some loss of respect, some loss of independence. So your accountability partner is not your God. Your accountability partner is not the law in your house. They are the person you go to when you need guidance on an issue, but at the end of the day, as a couple, you have to sit down and discuss and agree on the way forward on whatever matter it is that you are seeking guidance about. So it's not the other person making decisions for you as a man or as a woman, because women also need to have an accountability partner, a woman who's mature, grown, and understands life and who's able to walk with you through the phases of womanhood. So that person should not be a dictator in your relationship. That person respects the boundaries. They know what they can and cannot do. For example, they can't make decisions for you, but they can advise, they can guide, they can give you the principles that will work. Because like you rightly said again, as we pick the mentors, as we pick the accountability partners, these people are human just like us. They have weaknesses, they have failures, they have flaws. And sometimes the flaws become the gems by which they grow the wisdom that they impart on others. Because now they can use their mistakes as lessons to tell you, I was here, I did that, it messed me up. So avoid that pitfall because I fell there. So that's what a mentor is. A mentor is not a perfect, quote unquote, God. Somebody who's perfect, who's complete, and who you look up to and almost adore and worship. He's somebody who, through their flaws, you're able to admire them and say, if they overcame that, I think that person is worth looking up to. That person is worth listening to because they've been there, so they know what they're talking about. So it's important to have that in mind, that your accountability partner is not the decision maker. At the end of the day, you have to make the decision. So we're talking about accountability or lack of it as a thorn. Okay? The other thorn is dishonesty. Because sometimes you are talking about people waiting until it is too late for them to start showing the thorns or seeing or noticing the thorns in the other person. But that is partly because of dishonesty, especially in the dating phase. People are not honest. People don't say their truth. People don't say what their flaws are. Because I believe if you really love me, then you should be able to understand that probably I have a past which is not so rosy. I have made mistakes in my past. I have flaws in my background. And I have flaws as a man right now, even as I'm courting you, which I'm trying to work on. Because I said for men especially, masculinity is acquired. It's not a natural trait. It's acquired. It's something they have to learn and be intentional about becoming. So he's still becoming a man. Be willing enough to understand that he has flaws. And he should be honest enough to say, yeah, I'm struggling with this or the other thing. So in case you feel it's something you can't work with, then I'm sorry, this relationship cannot work because this is something I'm working on, and you see the effort. And so you can actually help them overcome whatever weakness it is. So the problem is when the lady or the gentleman is not honest enough, is not vulnerable enough. Actually, the thorn here that I'm referring to, other than dishonesty, is lack of vulnerability. So the lady is a God, is an angel, she has no flaws, and she's perfect. And the man is perfect, and that's the face they want to show for 6 months of dating, 8 months of dating. That's a fallacy which they should actually get out of. Part of maturity is saying, look, I like you as a person, there are good things I like about you. But what about the things you're struggling with which I might not like? What are those things? Can we talk about it? Can we work on them? And what can I do as your partner to help you overcome that? So people have to be vulnerable to that stage.
At the dating stage?
Yes, because why else are you dating? If you have no intention of spending some more time or a lifetime with this person, why are you dating? Like, I don't think people should start even dating and talk of courtship until they think they are ready to accommodate another human being in their life. Because again, when people make that mistake of leading on somebody else, probably the person you're leading, whether you're a man and you approach a woman and you talk to her and she thinks, no, this guy is interested in me, and the girl starts saying the man, the husband in you, yet where your mind is not even there. All right, when mpita njia, then that's why we cause all these heartaches. And some women also do the same. They're there, the man is looking for a wife, but the woman knows, I'm not ready to be a wife. I'm not ready to submit. I'm not ready to do any wifey duties yet. And so you entertain this man for a whole year. And then one day you wake up and say, by the way, this is not what I want. Yeah, so...
Let me interrupt you. There's a thin line when you're saying that, because this is what is coming to my mind. It's rightfully what you've said, that you should be able to be honest from the word go, right? But here's the thing. I could be honest. As a lady, I've told you I'm not ready to be a wife because of 1, 2, 3 reasons. Especially when you term marriage.
Yeah.
I know of a person, when you say, I want to marry you, that's a turn off for her. Like, she's not ready for it, you know? But here you are. Once, as a man, you've learned that this is a turn off for me. You apologize and you're like, hey, I didn't mean like right now. We are talking about way in the future when you are ready. So I'm very patient. I'll just wait for you. Whose fault is that?
I think in as much as timelines are concerned, because what you're talking about is timelines. One of the thorns in relationship is people don't know how to draw boundaries and how to respect the boundaries of others. And people don't know how to be empathetic with the other person, like to put yourself in the shoes of the other person that you are telling these things. Because if I say that I'm not ready for marriage and you are ready for marriage, and I'm very clear I'm not ready for marriage, the question you should ask me is, when do you think you'll be ready? Because there must be a timeline. If I know right now that I'm not ready, what is this thing that I'm waiting for? What is this thing that I'm working on that when it is in place, then I'm ready? And so how long will it take me to get that thing which I want to put in place to be ready? So if, on the other hand, you look at that timeline and you say, you said 2 years? No, in 2 years, I want to have my second born. So that's why I'm saying honesty is important. So that you tell each other the truth. Like, I'm not ready. If I'm not ready, if you're not ready now, I'm ready now. So what do we do about it? Because I can't wait another 2 years.
Move on to the next person. Next.
You see, that's why honesty is important from the word go, as opposed to making assumptions. Because the other thorn is assumptions, actually. You make assumptions when you're dating. You make assumptions in courtship, and even in marriage, people still make assumptions. You assume that the other person, for example, ladies, assume men know what they want, even without them saying it.
Even
so if he loves me, he should know. I don't have to tell him. So these assumptions are dangerous because you assume that somebody is working towards something. Because you're not communicating, that assumption leads to disappointment later on. And so you get married, and by the time you're realizing you're disappointed, so you live a bitter life, you don't like the other person, you live in contempt of the other person, and yet the mistake you made is none of their fault. You assumed. You never really got to ask the important questions. So that's why it's important to communicate effectively, be honest, brutally honest in that communication, so that the other person knows what they're getting into, and if they're willing then to work with that, then the two of you will have no problems. Because you've already said, this is my black, this is my white. Are you able to deal with it? Bring your white, bring your black.
Let us see.
Can I deal with it?
Moving on, what happens in circumstances whereby you both are not sure of what you want? You just like, let's take it a day at a time, a step at a time. Let's see what life has in store for us. How long do you go in that blurriness before you realize and are not wasting each other's time? Because also time is of essence. Because you could be in such a quagmire where you're saying, let us see what life has in store for us and what the future holds. We are taking it a step at a time. And then, on this other hand, there's someone who is serious and ready. And when he approached me, and now is very like intentional, brings me to the realization of, by the way, there's this instead. This one is better opposed to what I've been doing.
Yeah.
How now do you deviate, or rather call yourself together and say, I'd rather choose this opposed to this and stick with this without hurting this and be like, yeah, well.
First of all, whatever you choose to do, there's nothing like a beautiful breakup. All right?
A breakup is a breakup.
It's just a breakup.
No.
Somebody is broken. Somebody will be broken. If not both of you,
We've
one
not
of
said
you.
it's a breakup. We just said I'm choosing this
The
one.
other person over this other person.
Not the other person.
Okay, so here's my take. The vagueness, you've talked about
Yeah.
living a day at a time and saying, let's see where this goes. Now, the statement of let's see where this goes,
It's uncertain.
it's uncertainty, it's vagueness, lack of clarity, and that also should be directly proportional to how much time you have to waste. So this is what I mean. If I say, I like you, so can we see where this goes? And you also like me. Okay, let's see where it goes. Now, the statement of where it goes, actually, first of all, it doesn't go anywhere. All right? It doesn't go anywhere. It will go where you take it by the decisions you make on a daily basis. So the growth of a relationship doesn't happen because two people just like each other. Then
By the end of the day,
relationship
first,
grows.
let's not get this confused. We have not defined this as a relationship.
So what are we looking at to see where it goes?
Future.
No, what is this that we are looking at now to see where
If
this,
you are
what is
compatible
this?
for each other, for us to be together.
AKA a relationship. Whatever you call it, it's a relationship that you are seeing where it will go. And my point is, relationships don't work. Relationships don't go anywhere. It's the couple that works and goes somewhere or takes the relationship somewhere. So as a man, where are you going? Are you intending to marry? And when are you intending to marry? All right? Then you'll make decisions with this girl that you're seeing where it is going. You will actually take her there by your proposal. You'll take her there by your commitment. You'll take her there by what you communicate. All right? And the same to the lady. She will take this relationship to the next level by her daily decisions. So relationships don't go anywhere. They are taken somewhere by the people in that relationship.
Well said. I want us to take a break, and when we come back, we pick it from there.
Sure.
You said it's also what you put out there for it to go.
Yes.
Now, you've not put out anything, you've not said anything, and have no decision in making. Because in our African, so to speak, traditional setup, mostly it's the man to like sway the ship to where it's supposed to go. So that is defined to be what ship is this,
Yes.
right? Now, this person has not like swayed the ship in that direction. And then comes this other person who is like very like intentional. Where does that place me? Do I have now to come back and tell you, you've not been swaying your ship in the correct direction, and that one is not going to work. So I'd rather just let you continue swaying your ship until you like define yourself and know what you want.
But ulishuka stage kitambo.
You might.
You leave the guy driving.
Nimeshaona hata hakuna mahali tunaenda bwana. So I just call it quits politely without. Sasa hapa ni action speaks louder than words.
Yeah, even lack of silence is communication.
Thank you. At least there we agree. Viewers, I hope you're learning as much as I am. Interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
name is Nyabil. I'm from Mahanim. Call this school a good school because the second my mom saw it, she saw it was Christian based. And when I see Christian based, that's what the character my mother wants from me. And I like the sports that we play for PE. Like sometimes we play table tennis, we can play football, we match, and on Fridays we have games. And we verse the teachers in football. And this is why I think this school is the best school your children can go to.
Everywhere, GBS.
Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about thorns on the bed of roses. What are the thorns that you're facing on your rosy journey? Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, Mr. James, I had asked you a question. Then I want you to take us through it. Yeah, so how now do you politely? Because again, there's somewhere where you mentioned that women mature up faster than men.
Yeah.
So in this case, I have already seen, or rather, I've realized we've wasted a quite number of years, or rather time, depending with how long we've been seeing where this one is going. Because at times, you said the assumptions. You assume that this one is going to lead in this direction. Then you stay there blindly and seeing this person is not leading anywhere.
So as I was saying, assumptions should only be tolerated based on how much time you have to waste. Otherwise, for a man and also for a woman, when you have timelines, because it's important for people to understand a man's timeline is different from a woman's timeline. Women work based on a biological clock. Men work based on a financial clock. And so they are in different time zones. So when a man says, I'm not ready to marry, what he means is financially, in terms of, because innately a man is supposed to provide, like we said. What he's saying is, I don't feel I have the capacity to accommodate, take care of you and our children and whatever other responsibilities come with me being a husband to someone. So that's basically what he's saying. When a woman says, I have no time to waste, I'm ready for marriage, she's not looking at her financial status. No, she's saying the man will provide innately. Even if she is a millionaire, she knows the man will take care of some things. So she's not looking at the financial aspect. She's saying, biologically, I think I need a baby, I need to be raising children, and I want by this age to have my first, my second born, like that. So she's working on a biological clock. So based on these different time zones, it's important for the woman to ask herself, okay, I'm 40. You're telling me you want to see how this goes for one more year? So I'll be 41 before you make the decision. So you see, that alone becomes a turn-off for that woman because she's working on a biological clock, the man is working on a financial clock. Two different time zones. So it's important for people to realize that time difference between men and women. And number two, to ask themselves, as we see where it goes, how much time do I have to look until it goes somewhere? If that time is too short, then say it. Communicate and say, I don't think I'm willing to wait that long. And that is why sometimes, even for men, sometimes it's assumed that it's men who don't make the decision to marry a woman. But you'll be surprised to see, and there are many cases where a man dates a woman for a year or two, and then meets another woman, and in 2 months marries the other woman who he has known for 2 months, leaves the woman he has known for 2 years.
Why so?
It's because this vagueness that the woman is bringing to the table, the man is ready, the woman is not ready. So if the man gets a woman where his financial clock ticks together with her biological clock, he will marry that woman. So it's not about how long. You know, some people think there's a duration. Of course, there's a simple logical duration by which you take time to know somebody. But then there is that point where you say, I'm ready. And you find a person who is ready. Imagine the two will get married and they live happily ever after. And this girl or this man who has been hanging around will be left and say, all women are wicked. But the women are not wicked. It's just that your financial clock and your biological clock did not tick. And so this vagueness, mtu anachoka. So somebody says, this is not what I want. This one knows is exactly where I want to be and is going exactly where I want to go. So let's go. And the two will get married. And then this other one says, imagine I knew him for 5 years since college, and then I come with him, and especially women, you find them saying, oh, I knew him from nothing when he was nothing. Now amepata pesa kidogo, anaanza kuringa, anaoa kasichana hata kamjui. But you see, that's just bitterness speaking. What you should ask yourself is, why did he take so long and not marry you? And why is he marrying this other person who he has only known for 3 months? What is it about the other person that he saw, which he hasn't seen for the last 2 years or 5 years with you? So that's the question you actually need to call yourself to a meeting first. Before you go on social media, all men are dogs, all men are wicked. Before
Let's
you go there,
back. Let's go back to
call
that
yourself
as
to
a
a
point.
meeting. Yes.
As you're calling yourself to a meeting. For these 2 years you've been together,
yeah.
we said we are looking to see where it's going to. We didn't define us. We didn't define anything.
True.
So we are living based on assumptions. So don't you think it's only fair for you to say it, Ama, you just leave it hanging? That's the question I was actually initially asking, because we assumed we are now going and we are not going. And then we've been going for 2 months on the same timing, the same place. And here you found someone else that you've seen for 2 months and you make a drastic move. And now things have changed.
And that's why I said, in this game of vagueness, even in that vagueness, it's good to have clarity. Clarity in terms of how much time do I have to see where this goes. Number 2, even if it goes somewhere, which I've said it doesn't go, you take it. If I want to take it somewhere, where is that? Is it marriage? And if I want to get married, when?
But
How?
you see,
like those are things you talk about, even if I'm not saying, for example, if we are out on a date and we're seeing where this goes, at least you'll ask me, so what do you think of marriage?
What about communication? Because when you talk of marriage, I ask you, what do you think of marriage? And you're like, I'm not ready for marriage.
And
there is nothing we can talk about marriage.
That's why I'm telling you, if you say you're not ready, and in my mind I'm thinking, I'm almost ready. I think I've known you for 6 months. We should be taking you this to the next level. And so that's why I'm asking this question 6 months after I've met you, right? And then 6 months later, you're still telling me, I still don't know.
Can you come back to the communication part whereby I always feel it's a two-way?
Sure.
Because you've said it's women and men.
Yes.
Right? Because this one looks and says, you said the man is the financial thing, the masculinity part.
Yes.
Am I able to provide? Am I earning enough? Am I earning enough to accommodate someone else?
Yes.
Yet you're not even communicating to say, I think I need this duration for this. So we are both like, we're intentional to some things, but not intentional about us. So tumebaki hapo, we know, I know you're my man, you know I'm your lady, but hakuna kitu tunafanyanga any conversation regarding this relationship. Tuko tu.
Then why are we here? Like, it's important to ask yourself, why am I here, by the way? Why am I on this date?
Who's supposed to initiate this conversation?
Both.
What do you mean both?
Because you just said communication is two-way.
Because if me, I'm trying to look at it from the perspective of, if I bring out this tough question as a woman, it's a turn off for a man. You'll be like, yo.
But exactly, that's exactly what you want.
A turn
you
off.
want answers. No matter how, you see, when you're asking the tough questions, be prepared for answers you might not like. That's something you have to be open about. That I might ask, are you ready now? Like, I've known you, you're not proposing. And the man says, ay, mimi na ndoa, labda 10 years to come. That's an answer. That is truth. Take it and say, okay, since I'm not ready to wait for 10 years, I don't think we can continue doing this. That is communication. So if you ask tough questions, be willing to accommodate and receive answers you might not like, because the problem in communication sometimes is not how somebody says it, it's not what somebody is saying, it's what you are understanding from what they are saying. Because sometimes we assume communication is what I'm saying, but communication is really what you are understanding, not what I'm saying. I might be saying all the right things, I might actually be saying my truth. And then, because you have your own marking scheme in your head of what the right answer is, you assume I'll eventually get to your right answer. But your right answer is not my truth. So it's important to respect the other person's truth and say, okay, that's what they believe, that's what they're saying. And if I can't deal with it, I'll also be enough to say, okay, I was expecting by now, you would say, now you give your marking scheme answer, all right? And say, do you think you can agree to this? If the other person says no, that's good communication, and that's maturity. And that's why we were talking about the difference between boys and girls, and also men and women. A girl will remain vague for life. She will enjoy the parties, the outings, the weekend outings, the road trips to Naivasha and the coast every weekend, but it's not settling. She's not talking about settling. That's a girl. A woman will go for 2-3 dates and ask you, boss, who are we? Like, where are we going? No, that's a woman.
Are you not the same person who comes out saying you don't need validation when it comes to relationship? If you know, if this relationship is serving you right, you already know your place. Don't seek for validation.
Don't seek for validation, but seek the truth. Seek to understand the truth, because the other person is being truthful. If a girl only wants happy times and she's not thinking of marriage, she never talks about children, what are you doing trying to propose to her on a weekend,
but
on
a
drunken weekend at the coast?
The validation part actually is coming mostly from the men, because this one I've had it, men voicing out so much in regards to relationship, whereby you go out of your way and ask, what are we? And this person is like, why do you seek validation? When the time comes, I'll validate you. Ama, can't you read in between the lines? Yo, I'm not an angel.
I'm glad we are talking about thorns. Now that's a thorn right there. Because we are talking about assumption. Don't assume what I want. Ask what I want. And listen to the answer when I answer it. Because if you assume, just assume because we are going out, then that's how you end up. 2 years later, you're still dating. Then he meets somebody 2 weeks and he ameenda Rorashio. Unamuuliza, babe, uko wapi hii weekend? You get to see posts in Vitenges, matching Vitenges with some new girl. So it's important to be clear. Like, ask the right questions, be willing to listen to the answers, then discuss the answers. Have a middle ground. If you agree to disagree, that is still part of maturity. Immaturity is you tagging along someone knowing this is going nowhere. That's immaturity. Maturity is being woman enough and being man enough to say, I've talked to you, we've gone out for some time, and I don't think we are where I wanted to be by now. So can we just call this quits? Can we stop what we are doing because it's not serving the purpose where I'm going? Which brings me to what other quality of a man is there. Vision. A man knows where he's going. So let no man ever tell you he doesn't know, that he's not sure. Let's see where it's going. No, he knows where he's going. If a man ni mpita njia, he knows hapa napita nikienda. He knows. So some women think he'll get serious. No, he won't. If he's serious, he's serious. If he's not serious, he's not serious. If he wants a road trip to Naivasha only over the weekend and throughout the week, don't call him, don't talk to him, wait for the next weekend, we go to another bash. He wants a party girl. That's what he wants. If he wants a woman to marry, he'll tell you he wants a woman to marry. And he'll tell you if you're not the woman he wants. He will.
So if you ask from day one, utapata your answer.
Not necessarily from day one. Give him some time to see where it goes. That's what now the dating is. Like, give yourself time to learn him, know where he stands, what he stands for, and vice versa. As the man, ask the right questions. Don't just marry a girl because she's a girl. Marry her because she's a lady who you might want to see raising your children someday. She's a lady who you might want to see helping you take care of your mother. She's a nurturer, because there are qualities that make a woman wife material. And that is what men look for and what men see in seconds. So by the time a man is deciding I'm proposing, he has taken his time to see this is worth risking for.
Final
All right?
words.
Yes.
Your final words.
My final words, relationships are beautiful. Love is a beautiful thing. Roses are good, but roses come with thorns. And these thorns, it's important to reveal them from the onset. Ask the hard questions. Get to know what this person's faith is, what he believes in, what she wants, when she wants it, how she wants her life to be. Like, ask all the right questions so that these thorns are revealed and handled in time. Otherwise, if you wait until it's too late and the rose has grown, by the time you're coming to cut off the thorns, you've already been pierced and you're all both bleeding. So that will be a messy relationship. Like one politician once said, the divorce will be messy and loud. That's my final shot.
You've said about, there's something you mentioned that I want us to take on to the social media part.
Yeah.
The listing. Now, how do you, those questions, those tough questions, what are those questions that we need to ask?
The hard questions.
I want you to, like, sijui utatuandikia ama utatufanyia nini. We have wrapped up, but those questions we need to know.
Yes.
What question should we be asking and who should be asking? So we need the template of men's question to be asked.
I think we need a whole show for that.
Viewer, let's continue this conversation online across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Till next time, have a nice time. Goodbye.